Final point I'd make, I understand, I don't mean to make light of this, but I'm reminded of the song Imagine by John Lennon. We played it at my inauguration. I think everyone who hears that song in its fullness thinks about, what about a world where people got along differently? What about a world where we didn't live with a lot of the restrictions that we live with now? But we're not there yet. We are making a lot of progress, I truly believe. I believe the protest movements themselves, the peaceful protest is the essence of how we make progress. The reforms made within the NYPD are progress, deep progress. But for folks who say defund the police, I would say that is not the way forward. At some point in our history, we may be in a very different situation. But right now, and I use that analogy from the early 90s, having a police force that is able to keep everyone safe and able to engage at the community level, having a police force strong enough to do the work of public safety, but also the work of building community with people and healing, I think that's necessary for now. So I understand the impulse, but I think the impulse misses the reality we're facing right now. And look, I am hopeful we can bring these strands together, and I'll conclude with this point. I'm hopeful we can bring these strands together powerfully. I really am. We need a different approach. We need a host of additional reforms in policing. We need people to believe that there will be transparency, that there will be actual discipline and consequences when someone does something wrong, and it will be swift. We need to make sure the right police leadership is in the right place in our communities. We have a lot of things we can do differently and better, and we will do them aggressively. And we need to get to Commissioner Shea's vision of youth policing. Elected civilian leadership working together in common cause. That is what has happened here. On the president, I'll keep it quick. President's working overtime to exacerbate the tensions in this country and tear Americans apart, and that's who he's been his whole life. This is the guy who in the 1980s called for the execution of the Central Park Five. He took out full-page ads calling for the execution of innocent young people because they were young black people. That's the reality. He has been divisive since the moment he strode on the public stage. He is divisive today. I unfortunately I have no reason to pay attention when he says something like that. And that's a sad statement. I didn't think I'd ever say something like that about a president of the United States, but he has invalidated himself. And the outcry you're hearing now from the military, from people in active service in our military, from former military leaders saying he has no right for his political needs to bring the United States military into this conflict and to exacerbate the tensions in this country, I think that is a signature moment. I'm someone who came from the generation of McCarthyism. My parents were deeply and negatively affected by McCarthyism. I have a reverence for the United States Army because it was the United States Army that stood up and said no more and helped to end the McCarthy period. And I think it is very sad to see our military put in such a compromised position, but I can guarantee you people within the military now and people who are out of the military but were leaders in the military are going to keep saying this can't go on, and I believe it will not go on. The president, unfortunately, added to this from the moment he took office, created so much division in this country. We could have used compassion. He gave us none. We could have used a president who took charge in the coronavirus moment. He didn't. He dithered. Didn't give us the testing, didn't give us the help, hasn't given us a stimulus. So much of this is literally at his doorstep. So he can tweet all he wants. I just wish he would be a president once in a while and actually help us.
Last question for today.